Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Exploring Stimulant Addiction, where we will examine the issue through a systemic lens. My name is Michelle, and like you, I'm an MFT graduate student working toward those next credentials. Today, as we dive into stimulant addiction, we'll examine how it affects individuals and why understanding it from a systemic perspective can improve our approach to treatment. I think a great place to get started is by defining what stimulants are. According to the Alcohol and Drug Foundation, stimulants are a class of drugs that speed up messages traveling between the brain and body, which means they boost activity in the central nervous system. They can make a person feel more awake, alert, confident, and energetic. Commonly used stimulants include legal over-the-counter substances like nicotine and caffeine, but they also include prescription medications like Adderall and Ritalin, often prescribed for ADHD. Stimulants can also be found in the form of illicit drugs like cocaine and methamphetamine. These drugs increase dopamine and norepinephrine levels in the brain, producing effects like heightened alertness, focus, and energy. Being alert and focused sounds harmless enough, but of course there's a catch. These stimulating effects can be addictive, as people may start to depend on them to enhance performance or escape from stress. Repeated use changes brain chemistry, making it hard for users to feel normal without them. Stimulants impact users physically and psychologically, and the effects can manifest differently for each person. When we look at the physical responses, stimulants increase heart rate, blood pressure, and body temperature, which can put long-term strain on the cardiovascular system. Many users develop sleep issues, weight loss, and even severe mental health complications over time, such as anxiety, paranoia, and in some cases, stimulant-induced psychosis. Psychologically, stimulants trigger a flood of dopamine, which is also called the feel-good neurotransmitter. It creates powerful feelings of euphoria. However, this also primes the brain to crave more of the drug to achieve the same effect. Eventually, repeat users end up on a dopamine roller coaster, where they struggle with highs and lows as their brain craves constant stimulation. The result of that? A cycle that's challenging to break, or what we identify as an addiction. One of the key challenges in recovering from stimulant addiction is dealing with the intense cravings and withdrawal symptoms. Unlike opioids, where withdrawal symptoms are mainly physical, stimulant withdrawal is very psychological. That means recovery can feel mentally exhausting for clients, as they might struggle with depression, fatigue, or the inability to experience pleasure, something the clinical world labels as anhedonia. Overcoming addiction and triumphing over these symptoms is something to revel about. However, relapses are common. For many people, the trigger to use is tied to stress, social situations, or even the desire to enhance performance, whether at work, in sports, or even in social contexts where we're seeing social media as a platform to monetize our experiences and the number of likes we receive to validate our behaviors and experiences. As MFTs, we'll often see that these external factors form part of a bigger, interconnected system involving family dynamics, workplace pressures, and societal expectations. This leads us to the conversation of the day about the systemic understanding of stimulant addiction. Let's look at how it fits into a broader systemic conversation. As marriage and family therapists, we're trained to see individuals within the context of their relationships and environments. Because we're viewing it through this lens, we understand that stimulant addiction doesn't occur in isolation. It's influenced by various systemic factors such as family dynamics, cultural expectations, socioeconomic status, and even the fast-paced demands of modern life. Consider a young professional, for example, who's using Adderall or another stimulant to meet demanding work deadlines. In many ways, this person's environment is reinforcing the addiction. We see this all the time. Their workplace might reward their productivity without recognizing the cost to their mental health. While this happens, family members may unintentionally enable the behavior by minimizing its impact. Over time, the young career professional may start to feel trapped in a cycle where stimulant use is both a coping mechanism and a means of survival. By seeing addiction as part of this more extensive system, we can move away from a model that only addresses the individual's choices and instead look at the broader network of influences that might support or discourage their addictive behaviors. In treatment, a systemic perspective can be highly valuable. For example, if we involve family members in therapy sessions, we can help highlight their enabling behaviors or codependent patterns that may be feeding the addiction. For stimulant addiction, where social and relational pressures can be quickly and deeply intertwined, including family members in therapy can foster healthier boundaries and more supportive interactions. Family-based therapies like structural family therapy can help shift roles within the family that may perpetuate the addiction. Using narrative therapy can empower clients to rewrite their story around stimulant use and challenge that narrative that they need stimulants to function or be productive. In cases where clients are also navigating work-related pressures, solution-focused brief therapy can be useful. This can help clients identify practical strategies to manage work demands without relying on stimulants. Setting small, achievable goals can support clients as they build confidence in their ability to perform without chemical support. As we wrap this up, I think we can agree that stimulant addiction is more than an individual issue. It's deeply embedded within a broader system of relational, social, and cultural factors. As future MFTs, recognizing the systemic nature of stimulant addiction allows us to treat the whole context surrounding our clients, not just the addiction itself. This holistic approach empowers our clients to renew and rebuild healthier relationships and reframe unhelpful and unhealthy narratives that ultimately lead to sustainable changes. Thank you all for tuning in to today's episode on stimulant addiction. I hope this has given you a new perspective on how we can view and treat addiction within the framework of a system. As MFTs, we have to remember that no issue exists in a vacuum. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.